Hello and welcome. This is Lino Tadros, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to add some CSS classes as a drop-down in your own editor for Sitefinity. A lot of people like to do that, especially when you want to limit your business analyst and also your contributors to the site to create different colors or different font names or sizes. You don't want to do that. You just want to give them a list of CSS classes that they can only use. So let's go ahead and start showing you how to do that as well. All right, I'm going to be bringing in the site in here, and I've created already an MVC page called the Home MVC. I've also placed a content block on it. What I wanted to show you first, by clicking on the create content in here, this is what I'm talking about all the way at the top in here. These are all the buttons that are part of the Kendo UI editor that you can actually use. It would be nice, of course, if we can add our own combo box and drop down, and we can fill it in with some predefined CSS classes that you want people that are using the backend to use. Something like the one we see under format. If I click on this, these are the different CSS classes that are built into Sitefinity, like paragraph and quotation, and then all the headings from 1 to 6 right here, okay? I would like to add to that if I can, or create maybe another combo box if I want to. But because we have already format, maybe I'll add it to this one as well. So where do we start by doing something like this? Well, in 14.3 in Sitefinity and above, they have made it very easy to do that by including a brand new administrator settings called backend interface. And the way you can get to it, let's go back to administration here for a second. If I click on administration and we go to settings, it's under the basic settings, and you will see it all the way at the left at the bottom. It says backend interface. This is new in 14.3. That doesn't mean that you can't do this with anything before 14.3. Just a little bit more work, not a big deal, but you will have to create a file called config.json and put it under the admin app in the root application as well. Makes sense? But for right now, they made it so simple. You can click on the backend interface, and these are all the things that you can change in the backend interface. I'm interested in the one that has to do with the rich text editor here in the middle. Let's click on this guy. And these are all the different settings. Notice it's in JSON format. We will go under tools in here, and then it's an array, and all the different buttons that you see at the top of the editor will be in here, like the formatting, that's the combo box, the bold, the italic, and a lot of other things, tons of different buttons in here as well. In a previous video, you can find it actually in the library. We'll show you how to add more buttons, and like foreground color and background color and font name and font size. If you want to add those, we show you that. But I am more interested in this video to show you how to add CSS classes. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, the first thing I want to do, instead of the word formatting, that means I'm going to let the Kendo UI editor do its thing. Whatever formatting means and whatever names are associated with the combo box, I just want you to do it. In that case, I will say no. I want to do it myself. So I'm going to delete this guy from here. There we go. And I'm going to insert a new object. Of course, objects inside of JSON will have to have brackets, open and close brackets. So let's go ahead and create one of those. So notice here under tools, I'll still have to create the array, and then I'll create a new object, and this one I'll give it a name. Let me go ahead and indent it a little bit so you can see it better. It won't make a difference whether you do this or not. It's just to read it easily. So I'm going to actually have a name, call it also formatting, and in the items is another array. And instead of showing quotations and paragraph and all the other things, I get to choose which one I want to show. So for instance, in my case in here, I'm showing heading 1 to 6. And the value of it will be H1 to H6 as well. Don't forget to close the array and then close the object for that name formatting. So right now, this is the section I've added in here instead of the word formatting itself. Even if I run this right now, if I save all the way at the bottom in here and I go see it now, when I bring down the combo box for formatting, there will be no quotation, there will be no paragraphs. It will only be these 6 different headings in there. But I actually want to go a little bit further than that. I would like to include at the end, or maybe at the beginning, it's up to you, more CSS classes, okay? So the first thing you want to do is that you want to define which style sheets would you like the editor to be able to find. So let's leave this alone a little bit. Let's go back, for instance, to maybe Visual Studio or any editor, it doesn't matter. I created a folder in here at the root called CSS. Of course, you can call it whatever you want. And I created a main.css. Again, the file name is not important. You can call it whatever you want. In this main in here, I created 3 classes. So .lino, .tadros, and .waycool. Alrighty. The first one has a yellow background. The waycool has a font color of blue. And then the .tadros one has a background color of red, and the font color will be white as well. And I would love for me to be able to display those automatically in the combo box. So let's go ahead and see how we're going to do that. I'm going to close this guy, and we'll go back to the site again. Let me bring it up. And I'm going to come back all the way to the bottom. And you have to be careful with that. You have to know that this array is closing the tools, okay? I need to create another section. So don't forget that comma. And then inside of here, we'll create something called style sheets. Again, the spelling has to be correctly, and it has to be all lowercase. And we'll say in double quotes, as you can see. And then it is also an array. So I'm going to open up the array, and then maybe we'll close the array before we forget. And then inside of there, maybe I'll add as many CSS paths that I have on my system. If you remember, my path was CSS, so it's the name of the folder, and the file was main.css. So I'll say /css/main.css. All right. If there was other CSS file, it doesn't have to be just one. Just put a comma and open up another double quotes and put the other CSS. It doesn't even have to be in the same folder. But because I only have one right now, I will leave it like that. But it's always going to have to be an array. The fact that you only have one file doesn't change the fact that the style sheet has to be an array as well. Make sense, everybody? All right. Now that we have access to the main.css, that means I have access to the Lino class, the Tadros class, and the waycool class. Let's go back all the way at the top in here where I see all my items for the tools. I already added the 6 heading. Let's go ahead and also add the 3 that I just added, and I can give them a name, and I can also point to what the name of the class itself is. So I'm going to go all the way at the end in here. Don't forget again to put the comma. Sometimes I forget to put the comma, and it will not work. The JSON will not work correctly, and you will not be able to see it. So now when I go back inside of there, let's go ahead and paste this. So now I have 3 more. So let me just put some spaces in here. There is no tabs, unfortunately, in this. So I've added a text called Lino. You can call it whatever you want, of course. It's nice to name it the same thing as the CSS class so you don't actually get confused. But the value has to be the .lino, and the Tadros name, the value has to be .tadros, and finally the waycool has to be .waycool. Don't make the mistake. I made that mistake earlier. Put a comma at the end in here. Don't do that. If you do that, it will not be able to read the file either. So the 2 things that you have to do under tools, change it from formatting and add another object. This entire object is going to contain the name and the items. It's an array with all the different built-in headings and also your own CSS classes. And the only way it will be able to see the Lino and the Tadros and the waycool is that all the way at the end, we will add an array of CSS files that the system will have access to. Sounds good? All right, let's go ahead and save the changes. Oh, I made a mistake. Let's see, which is good. I can get actually invalid JSON format. Maybe I did something wrong in here. Let's see where my mistake is at. Style sheets, open and close the array. CSS in here for main. So you'll have to take a look. Is it my style sheets? No, I don't think so. It has to be something that I missed in here. Oh, yeah, I see it already. You have to be careful with these commas and the objects. So you see the tools right now has this object, but I cannot go to bold or italic before I put a comma in here. That will actually separate that first one from the second one, which is bold. If you forget that comma, it will still not work. So let's go ahead and see if it can save it now. All right, it worked. Now let's go back to our pages. We'll open up the home MVC. And right now we're going to have to request some luck. And the reason for that is the caching in Chrome as well. Sometimes it doesn't work unless you shut down and bring it back up again for Chrome. Otherwise, and sometimes it works from the first time. So if I go to format, oh, it worked from the first time. But again, if you come back in here and you still see the word quotation and paragraphs, don't feel like you did something wrong. Sometimes you have to just do a Shift F5 to make sure that you throw away the cache on this page. And then this is what you're supposed to see. Heading 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. And then all the way at the end, notice that Lino, Tadros, and Way Cool are actually showing up automatically. And not only mentioning the name, they will use actually the CSS class to show you exactly what it's supposed to be. So when I said Lino has a background of yellow, or Tadros has a background of red, and the color of the font is white, or the Way Cool was a background or a color font color of blue, you'll be able to see it right away. That will make it so much easier, believe it or not, on your business analysts and contributors on the site. So you don't have to guess. So now if I go back in here and say hello to everyone, alrighty, if I highlight this hello to everyone inside of here, for instance, I can use the formatter, and maybe let's say I want it to be the Tadros one in here. Automatically now, if I go see what the HTML is, you will notice that it added the class Tadros in here. Even though you cannot see this because of caching again, I promise you it will work if I say save there. And notice now it will show hello to everyone. The white font and the red background, both of them have worked correctly. Now I can publish and it will be available for you in the editor whenever you want to. Hopefully this was useful to you to see how you can actually add your own CSS classes to the editor to make sure that your users in the back end do not create any mariachi band in the site and not follow the design that you have actually created for them. Thank you, and I'll see you again in future videos in Lino TV. Thank you.